Brigade at Fort Bragg. The brigade will meet the growing demand for advisors in places ranging from Iraq to Africa. After a clear start, increasing clouds and breezy in the Piedmont and Sandhills today with a chance of showers and thunderstorms later. Mostly sunny along the coast with highs in the mid-70s. This is North Carolina Public Radio, WUNC. Support comes from Charles Schwab, offering Schwab Intelligent Advisory, an interactive online financial planning service that combines technology with personal advice. Learn more at schwab.com/intelligent advisory. Ruggiero Piano, serving the Triangle in Eastern North Carolina since 1958, offering new and used pianos, tuning, restoration, and more in the Raleigh showroom, ruggieropiano.com. Raleigh Little Theater, presenting A Piece of My Heart, a play exploring the impact of the Vietnam War on 6 women. Limited run begins tomorrow. RaleighLittleTheater.org. Village Hearth Co-Housing. LGBTs and friends ages 55 plus, building a community of single-story cottages in Durham. Design workshops going on now. Details about member benefits at villagehearthcohousing.com. And St. Mary's School in Raleigh, educating girls grades 9 through 12, celebrating 175 years and welcoming prospective students for campus visits. More at sms.edu. It's 57 degrees in the Triangle, 59 in Fayetteville, 55 in the Triad, and 60 degrees along the Outer Banks at 7 minutes past 7 o'clock.
I became a sustainer because I have gotten so much education, information, laughter. And when I called, I told that to them. I said, you know what? I am absolutely giddy about this. And I don't know why, but it just feels so good. It's not a great amount of money, but I also made a commitment to myself that I'm going to add to my pledge because I enjoy it so much. I'm Amanda Montgomery, and I would love for you to join me as a sustainer for WUNC.
And to join, please call 800-962-9862, the phone number at North Carolina Public Radio. Keith Weston with Regina Yeager. We have a trip for 2 to Italy that we're offering this morning for the next couple of hours. At 9 o'clock, the drawing's over. Please call now to ensure that your name is entered into this Italy trip drawing and to support the station.
Not even 2 hours left. You could win that trip to Italy. Good morning to you. We would love to hear from you next. Got some great news for you. The drive is ending tomorrow. Thank you so much to more than 2,000 listeners that have already made that phone call at 1-800-962-9862. But 71,000 still to raise in 2 short days, Keith.
800-962-9862. And to help us get a little bit closer to that overall goal, some longtime supporters, Kate and Conrad Fulkerson, are encouraging your call now. And once WNC raises $5,000 this morning, once $5,000 comes in from other listeners, they will donate their $1,500 to WUNC. So they're encouraging your call now. Your pledge can be worth an extra $1,500 to WUNC. Thank you.
And the survey says most popular thank you gift is the short sleeve WUNC t-shirt. $10 a month. You can pick it up. It's got the state of North Carolina in it with WUNC in the middle. You can wear it and show your love for WUNC and your pride in making this station possible. 1-800-962-9862.
It's Eric Hodge calling from North Carolina Public Radio. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And I was wondering if you have a up-to-date passport.
I do have an up-to-date passport.
Do you like to travel to Europe?
I do like to travel to Europe.
Have you been to Rome?
No, I haven't.
Well, you are now.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. Congratulations.
Oh, my gosh, I cannot believe it. This is the most amazing thing that has ever happened. This is amazing.
Well, we're so happy that you listen and that you support North Carolina Public Radio, and it's great to be able to call you and say congratulations. You've won the trip for 2 to Rome.
Oh, Eric, thanks so much. I cannot believe it. I cannot appreciate this any more than I do. Thanks so much.
800-962-9862, and looking for our next Italy winner. It's going to be someone who calls into the station, and it could be you when you call 800-962-9862.
A trip to Italy, that would be terrific. It would also be great for you to call in right now and help us reach this challenge. Longtime supporters Kate and Conrad Fulkerson are encouraging you to call now with your support. If we can raise $5,000 this morning, they'll donate $1,500 to the station, which will help us reach this goal. $475,000 is the goal for the spring fundraiser, and we are $71,000 away. Drive wrapping up tomorrow. We'd love to hear from you next.
800-962-9862. Thanks to Meredith College making it possible to offer this trip for two to Italy today. No pledge necessary to enter WNC drawings, but it is listener support, your contributions, which create Morning Edition and the Muse system here on WNC. So thank you very much for your support right now at 800-962-9862. 711, perfect time to call. Thanks for your support today.
It's Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Rachel Martin.
And I'm Steve Inskeep. Here's your first word on the day's news, starting with Republicans trying one more time.
On Capitol Hill, House leaders plan to vote today to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act. They backed out of a vote on this before because they didn't have the votes. This time, they say they're really going to do it. They're trying to scale back Obamacare enough to satisfy the most conservative lawmakers without rolling it back so much that they lose more mainstream Republicans. Just yesterday, 2 Republicans visited President Trump and proposed adding more money to help cover insurance costs for people with pre-existing conditions. One of them is Congressman Billy Long.
We're here announcing that with this addition that we brought to the president and sold him on in over an hour meeting in here with him, that we're both yeses on the bill.
And Republicans need every yes they can get. NPR Politics editor Domenico Montanaro has been keeping us updated on this story. Hi, Domenico.
Hi there.
Okay, bottom line, do Republicans now have a bill that keeps the most popular parts of Obamacare, including the part about pre-existing conditions?
That's actually kind of up for debate. You know, it creates high-risk pools, which have sort of a spotty history. And what happened yesterday was that there was an amendment that adds $8 billion to subsidize these high-risk pools, because one of the criticisms of them has been that they were underfunded and that they're pretty expensive because it takes out the sickest people and puts them in their own grouping. You know, that was one of the very points of Obamacare, spread out the cost so that if you become very sick, you not only get health care, but you can afford it.
So the fear here is that people with pre-existing conditions might be offered insurance, but at a price that it's like not being offered insurance at all. They can't possibly afford it, and they're trying to subsidize it a little more.
That's exactly right. And I should also say that Republicans wrote in an exemption in this bill for members of Congress and their own staff. They say they'll close this loophole after it was reported on, but the exemption will stay and still be in this bill for the vote so far.
Okay, so a lot of questions about what this bill really does. It might be nice to have an independent outside analysis of it, say from the Congressional Budget Office. Will they have one before voting?
No. The Congressional Budget Office, the CBO, is the nonpartisan scorekeeper for how much these bills would cost and what they would do. You know, you might remember when the CBO weighed in the last time on this bill, it said it would save money, but 24 million people or so could be left without insurance. That was a major stumbling block with public relations to pass that last version. It was already unpopular. The CBO score made it even more so. They don't have that political complication this time, but we don't have a measure of what this bill would mean then.
Domenico, remembering that one of the last times House Republicans tried and failed to vote on this repeal and replace act, Senate Republicans said, don't do this because we're not going to pass this to the Senate. Is the Senate going to pass this version?
This is the big part of this. No, I mean, this law is never going to become law in this iteration. It's going to be Groundhog's Day all over again. The Senate is going to have to pass this with the same kind of warring factions. They only have a 52-seat majority. We're going to be back here again talking about how the House has to pass that version.
So to paraphrase President Trump, healthcare is hard, as we are understanding every time we talk about this. So it'll be interesting, as Domenico notes, let's watch the vote today and then watch how senators start coming out and talking about this, revealing a little bit more about just how much steeper climb it's going to be there.
But Groundhog Day. Well, Domenico, we'll be back with you tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thanks very much.
The WNC Fund Drive's success is measured by the participation of listeners who call 1-800-962-9862. And since the station's future does depend on you, if you haven't called yet, please do so now. With the end of the drive in sight, enter one of the last trip drawings. Or when you become a sustainer, you can enter all current future WNC drawings just by being a sustainer. That's a pretty sweet deal. Call to become a sustainer or become one online at WNC.org and make your pledge there. Thanks for helping WNC successfully achieve the goal of this drive with your help now at 1-800-962-9862. Time is short. The need is great, and you can help. Thank you.
Gonna pledge now. 800-962-9862 here at North Carolina Public Radio.
We're just going to run around the room.
Well, you're doing a fine job for both of us. That's 7:16 is the time here at North Carolina Public Radio, WNC. You can win a trip or two to Italy when you call that phone number, which is 800-962-9862. Keith Weston, Virginia.
Drive wrapping up tomorrow. We'd love to hear from you next. Still 71,000 left to raise. We get there one phone call at a time. If you have not yet made your pledge, do it now. Longtime supporters Kate and Conrad Fulkerson are encouraging you to call. If we can raise $5,000 this morning, they'll donate $1,500 to the station. And hey, not even 2 hours left to win one of the last trip drawings, a trip or two to Italy.
Welcome back to Let's Speak Italian. 9, 6, 2, 9, 8, 6, 2.
If you guessed that's Italian for 962-9862, you're right. And if you use those numbers right now and call 1-800-962-9862, you may hear more Italian sounds. That's because all calls right now enter a drawing for a trip for two to Rome, Italy. In addition to supporting NPR and WUNC, you could also win a trip to Italy. Friends, Romans, countrymen, send in your pledges. 1-800-962-9862. And grazie.
800-962-9862. Italy is the destination. Meredith College making it possible for WNC to offer this to you today.
You know, Eric's Italian is better than his Australia accent. Have you noticed that?
It's slightly.
1-800, he's shaking his head right now. 1-800-962-9862. Not even 2 hours left, and you can get this trip to Italy, and you don't want to miss out on the opportunity to pick up some of the fine thank you gifts we have available. This time around. We do have a sustainer container. It's a stainless steel water bottle, and you can pick it up for $15 a month. And take a look at it at WUNC.org. It's pretty spiffy.
800-962-9862, and perhaps you can hear a few of the phones ringing here. Once you join in and become a WNC sustainer right now with your $5, $10, or $15 a month donation to the station. When you do, the Kate and Conrad Fulkerson will be matching your donation. They're not matching your donation. They'll be contributing $1,500 to WNC once 5,000 comes in. Let's get the details right.
That's right. It's right there on that piece of paper.
Yeah. If I could read.
1-800-962-9862. We're obviously at the end of the fundraiser. It's wrapping up tomorrow. We would love to hear from you next. Still 71,000 left to raise. What are you waiting for? You can help us reach this challenge, and you can win a trip for two to Italy.
That's 800-962-9862 at 719. A great time to call and support North Carolina Public Radio, where you can enter the Italy drawing with your call today. Again, our number is 800-962-9862. Or if you make a donation at WUNC.org, you're entered into the Italy trip drawing too. Good luck to you.
From NPR News in Washington, I'm Dave Mattingly. The House votes today on a revised Republican plan to replace the Affordable Care Act. House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy says there are now enough votes for passage, 6 weeks after conservatives stalled the original plan. NPR's Scott Horsley reports on one of the key changes.
What the Republican bill does is it gives states the opportunity to opt out of some of the popular provisions. That was a nod to the conservative members of the House. However, that lost some moderate Republican votes. So what the president has now agreed to do is sweeten the pot a little bit by putting $8 billion in to help cover these folks in so-called high-risk pools. But critics have said, look, $8 billion over 5 years, it's not enough to really guarantee that people with pre-existing health care conditions will be able to find affordable health care coverage.
There's a federal court hearing in Georgia today focusing on the upcoming congressional runoff election in Atlanta's suburbs. Johnny Kaufman with member station WABE reports.
The voter registration deadline closed in February, but the House race between Republican Karen Handel and Democrat John Ossoff will be decided in a June runoff. Civil rights groups say that February deadline disenfranchises potential new voters. They want a judge to reopen registration. Georgia's Republican Secretary of State says he's following the law.
I'm Dave Mattingly in Washington.
And I'm Eric Hodge. This is WUNC News. President Donald Trump's executive orders opening up the prospects of future oil drilling off the coast of North Carolina. Secretary of the Interior Ryan Zinke signed orders this week implementing a 5-year offshore energy plan that could affect the state. David McGowan is the executive director of the North Carolina Petroleum Council.
Any potential drilling is a long way off, a minimum probably of 12 to 15 years. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done between now and then to understand what our resource is, where it's located, how much is there, and then be able to make informed decisions about whether to go and explore that further.
Exploration could include underwater seismic testing to determine the feasibility and location of potential drilling. Environmental groups and scientists say seismic testing and drilling harm wildlife and the coastal ecology. Duke Energy has informed state regulators it intends to seek a rate hike. In a press release, the electric utility says it's seeking the increase as a way to recoup more than $300 million it's spending to clean up coal ash ponds. The North Carolina Utilities Commission will decide on the rate increase this summer. In baseball, the Durham Bulls had their second consecutive win over the Gwinnett Braves yesterday, 5-4. The Carolina Mudcats topped the Bowie's Creek Astros 3-1, and the Greensboro Grasshoppers lost 5-2 to the Lexington Legends. This is North Carolina Public Radio, WUNC.
Support for NPR comes from NPR member stations and from C3IoT, bringing cloud computing, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and IoT big data solutions to commercial, industrial, and government business processes. Learn more at c3iot.com. From Angie's List, for helping people get started on their to-do list for the beginning of home improvement season, whether they're looking for inspiration or need to hire a local pro. More at angieslist.com. Angie's List. Home is where our heart is. And from Visiting Angels, professional caregivers assisting adults in bathing, dressing, meals, and light housework nationwide. Visiting Angels, America's choice in senior home care. Office locations are at visitingangels.com.
It's Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Steve Inskeep.
And I'm Rachel Martin. The Secretary General of the Norwegian Refugee Council is calling attention to Yemen. Jan Egeland has just spent 5 days there. Millions of lives are at risk, he says, because of war, because of food shortages, and limited medical care. We reached him in Amman, Jordan, just hours after he had left Yemen.
I was shocked, frankly, with what I saw in Yemen. I was both in the north and the south of the country. I was on the countryside. It is a large civilian population on the brink of famine. It is wholly man-made, and it is totally preventable. The war can end. It is senseless. It needs, diplomatic pressure from the outside. Secondly, we need to double the injection of relief, cash, and food into the pipeline. And thirdly, we need an end to this strangulation of economic life in Yemen.
I mean, you say big population centers are on the brink of famine. Can you recount the story of someone who illustrates that pain?
So I came to what I had hoped to see was a functioning feeding station for mothers with children that are nearly dying from starvation. It was nearly empty of children. 2 children was smiling there because they had been saved. There was no one else in the place because the doctors and the nurses had left this feeding station because they hadn't been paid for 8 months and they were themselves struggling to survive. It's an epic sort of example of a place with many, many, many millions of civilians in total meltdown.
Humanitarian aid has been funneled into Yemen for years now. Is it just insufficient, or is that food aid in particular not getting to where it needs to go?
Well, it is insufficient. 7 million of the 17 million in need absolutely must be fed because they're at the brink of famine. The World Food Program and the rest of us could only afford to feed 3 million of the 7 this month, and the pipeline will break in July unless there is a massive injection of cash and food now.
The civil war in Yemen has been going on for 2 years, and the assaults go on. There's reports of an imminent assault on a key port city by Saudi-led coalition forces that have been leading these airstrikes. How do you navigate Yemen's immense need without having the support of the warring parties there?
Well, we cannot meet the needs if there is not an end to the conflict and an end to the restrictions by air, land, and sea to imports into Yemen. So indeed, the Saudi-led coalition that is bombing in Yemen needs to agree to a ceasefire. So must the regime in Sana'a and those who back them. And the US and the UK and the other Western powers that support the Saudi-led coalition must now show more leadership for peace, unless we will all be facing with biblical famine towards the end of this year. I believe that Washington and London will take initiatives for new peace talks.
Mr. Egeland, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Jan Egeland is the Secretary General of the Norwegian Refugee Council. We spoke with him via Skype.
Bringing the world home to you, this is North Carolina Public Radio, WUNC. Support comes from Yeprock Records, home to Robin Hitchcock, whose new self-titled album is available now on Amazon, iTunes, and yeprock.com. Jewel Smith, celebrating over 40 years of jewelry creations. New designs merging weekly are on view at Irwin Square in Durham and at jewelsmith.com. UNC Rex Heart and Vascular, with heart specialists dedicated to offering innovative solutions. More information about their services in Raleigh, including collaboration with UNC Medical Center at whereheartsbeatstrong.com. And Children's Home Society of North Carolina, in recognition of National Foster Care Month. Children's Home Society believes in family. Additional information about foster care and adoption at chsnc.org. Increasing clouds later today, breezy in the Piedmont and Sand Hills with a chance of showers and thunderstorms. Some sunshine will remain on the coast with highs in the mid-70s. We also get support from WRAL-TV, reporting stories of local and statewide interest. Tonight, WRAL investigates wait times at VA hospitals across North Carolina. WRAL's special report tonight at 6. It's 56 degrees in the Triangle, 58 in Fayetteville, 54 in the Triad, and 62 degrees along the Outer Banks at 728.
We're a tight-knit group at North Carolina Public Radio, WUNC. So if you've never made a contribution, what are you waiting for? I'm not going to tattle on you, but you know you listen every day. Growing the WUNC family of supporters is incredibly important to this station's fiscal health. When you call 1-800-962-9862, you help pay for Morning Edition, Fresh Air, The State of Things, and all the quality programs you rely on. And if you sign up as a sustainer, making monthly, ongoing contributions, you'll be automatically entered into all of WUNC's special drawings. So make that call to 1-800-962-9862 and become a member of the WUNC family. Thank you.
Hey, I think that's a group called Sister Pledge. 800-962-9862 here at North Carolina Public Radio.
I like that.
WUNC 729 at the time. Good time to call right now. You got 90 minutes, though, remaining for this Italy trip that's happening. We're giving away a trip for two to Italy, and you can enter the drawing when you call 800-962-9862. Keith Weston with Virginia Yeager.
I am the lead singer of Sister Pledge. I'd love you to call right now at 1-800-962-9862. 70,000 left to raise. Drive is over tomorrow. We don't want you to miss out on this trip for two to Italy. 90 minutes left to make that pledge.
800-962-9862. Rebecca from Youngsville called in. She says she loves WUNC, and she is so glad to be able to support it with a donation today. Well, thank you, Rebecca, for calling in this morning.
Yeah, thank you so much. We've heard from so many people that have moved into the area or they've been listening a while and haven't made that pledge yet, Keith, and they became first-time sustainers. They know that supporting WUNC and public radio is more important than ever before. No matter what's going on politically or economically in the world, we know that listener support always comes through.
800-962-9862 here at North Carolina Public Radio, where with your donation today, you could win a trip for two to Italy.
Dana Stott speaking.
Yes, Dana, do you remember when you called in to support North Carolina Public Radio? Do you remember which drawing was being given away?
Yeah, it was Italy.
It was Rome, Italy, and guess what?
No.
Yes.
I've never won anything before.
Well, you've won this.
No.
You have won the trip to Rome.
I can't believe this.
Congratulations.
Oh, my. Wow. Wow. Dude, you're making me cry here. You know how long my wife and I have been trying to get to Italy?
No kidding. How many years?
Oh, well, we planned it. The kids have just sort of gotten out of the house, so we're sort of now starting our planning for something, maybe in like 3 years. What a gift.
Well, we appreciate your gift to North Carolina Public Radio.
Well, you've always got my support. I wish this year were a better year in terms of business, but things are coming back now, so things will be better next year.
Well, listen, thank you so much for your help. I'm going to let you go call your wife. You think she'll be surprised?
She doesn't know about this. I just did it. I thought, something's better than nothing, and why not? Who knows? Maybe this will be the year.
There you go. Well, it is indeed, sir.
I appreciate this. Thanks so much.
This could be the year. Call now 1-800-962-9862. Just about 90 minutes left to win this trip to Italy.
This could be the morning for you to win. 800-962-9862. Meredith College making it possible for WUNC to offer this trip drawing to someone like a listener. Perhaps you calling now. 800-962-9862 is the number.
Joanne from Coupe's Arena called in and said that WUNC is the sunshine of my days. That's sweet. 1-800-962-9862. Well, Joanne, you are our sunshine as you continue to support this station and make it possible for North Carolina Public Radio.
800-962-9862. After all that sunshine, perhaps I shouldn't talk about the umbrella, but I will. We have an umbrella that is available for you right now. It's a WUNC NPR umbrella, $20 a month or $240 total. And we'd send you one of these new ones that you can see at WUNC.org.
Longtime supporters Kate and Conrad Fulkerson are asking you to join them now. If we can raise $4,600 more this morning, they'll donate $1,500 to the station. That'll really help us reach this goal. It's wrapping up tomorrow and still $70,000 left to raise. We get there one phone call at a time.
Yours, 800-962-9862 here at North Carolina Public Radio.